Hey guys, so in this video we have redone our kitchen that started out this lovely brown color, and we have put up white subway tiles. We used Musslebound. It's a double-sided sticky adhesive that works fantastic. It said 80% of the tile needs to be on this Musslebound, so you can see that we covered wall to wall on every place that we wanted to lay tile, just to be absolutely certain, because we didn't want our tiles falling off the wall at any point. So in this first step, what we did was we took the tiles out of the box, we peeled off the glue that was stuck to it from production manufacturing. It also keeps the tiles from breaking in processing. So we peeled it off just with one of those little orange spacers that we use later on. Spent a lot of time just popping the excess off and then using a sponge that's just a little bit damp that we later use to grout the walls, or to clean off the grout on the walls. But we use that sponge just to wipe off the tiles, so you'll see me doing that in just a moment. And this was a big part of our process. So right here I'm gathering up the glue. I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's nothing special, but in case you're super curious. So there it is, close up. Then we just threw that in the trash. Here I am wiping off the tiles with a clean, just a little bit damp sponge. After I wiped all the tiles off, my husband helped me with this too, but once we wiped the tiles off, we went in batches, and then we went and we put them out on a quilt so that they could dry. And the first set we let dry overnight. Really, it took about 30 minutes to dry, but this is what the back looks like even after we've wiped them off. So that little bit of white that's on there, that's just coloration, it's going to stay on there, and that is quite okay. So right here you can see that I'm laying those tiles out, and we have our fan blowing. Again, we left these overnight the first night just to make sure that they were dry all the way through. What we learned from experience is it took about 30 minutes for the tiles to be completely dry and ready to be stuck to the Musslebound, the adhesive on the wall. So here you can see that we use the green spacers, which I believe are 1/16 of an inch. We just really like the way they looked. We like the spaces. So right here you can see that the black lines in between, we are ultimately going to put some grout in there, and we opted for a white. You can see there where one of the spacers fell out. There's a lot of that. We'd have to put them back in. They'd fall back out. And you also saw a moment there where my husband used a screwdriver to pry the tile back off. We did that a fair amount. So as long as you're not sticking the tile on hard, you can still remove one if it gets wonky. But if you stick that tile on hard, you are not going to be able to get it back off. So this process, you can see that wooden board there, and that was our levelizer board. That was where we knew we wanted to start the bottom of our tiles, and we wanted them to be lined up from that point forward. So you can see this tiling went up pretty quickly. I just peeled the Musslebound off as I went, the backing, and if I had to stop the project at any point, then we could just tear a piece of that Musslebound adhesive backing and stick it back up there. That way your stickiness doesn't go away when you need to take a break for the night, or when things didn't go exactly as planned. So I like to keep all the spacers in there. I had to be a little bit creative with some of the spacing, and that just came from experience and with a little bit of time. My husband did not like to leave the spacers in. You can see we only had one pack open, so we got to return the other ones. And I just went with the same ones over and over. So I would push hard against the tile every so often, and those were fixed in place and they're going to stay there. So you can see from the electrical box down, all the spaces are already taken out there. Now piecing the tile was a little bit more difficult. What we used was a felt tip marker, and we would go and draw lines. You can see there where I have up and down on a laser level. Now, I was not always a huge fan of the laser level. I knocked it around way too many times. But once you get your first couple tiles up where you need them to be, everything spaces off of that. So just pay attention to what you're doing, take off the tiles that are wonky, and redo them at that moment. Don't wait until you're way far down. What I will tell you was beautiful about using a white grout was that it covered a multitude of mistakes. Not that there are a ton of mistakes, but the more you stand and stare at your tile, the more you're going to see that there's a problem. So if you give yourself grace and you give yourself white grout with white tile, it's a whole lot less obvious, especially on a first project. I would absolutely do Musslebound again. I absolutely loved it. My husband said that he would not. He would opt for traditional mortar. And I don't know because I've never used that before. But good luck and have fun.